Hey guys, what's going on? Today I want to talk about the cost of not knowing. Most sellers who try to skip the agent by doing a for sale by owner or take a cash offer from an iBuyer program like Open Door think they're saving money. But the data says they're usually losing a lot more than they saved. Here's what I actually see happening in the Inland Empire today. I'm Chris Leeper with eXp Realty. I work with sellers all over Riverside County and the surrounding communities for the past 2 decades. And although I've seen the market shift over the years, there's one thing that hasn't really changed, and that's homeowners thinking they can save a few bucks with a discount brokerage or iBuyer program like Open Door when selling their home. In my experience, there aren't many homeowners that choose to want to do it themselves, but the objections definitely surface when the topic of agent compensation comes up. Now, I know my value and the expertise I bring to the table, but sometimes that's not enough to convince a seller which route to go. So let's take a look at a client of mine from a few years back. Before they were my client, they started out as a seller in Paris after listing their home with Purple Bricks, which is a discount listing service similar to Open Door that has since gone out of business. They were desperate for help. They'd been on the market for 68 days with about 5 showings. 2 open houses were held where the agent used 4 signs to advertise the event, so no surprise that they had received 0 offers. That's when we took over the listing. We went from 26 property photos in the MLS to over 50. We immediately held an open house where we placed more than 20 directional signs, emailed our buyer database, and flooded social media in an effort to drive traffic and attention to that open house. With 1 private showing outside the open house, we had a full price offer. The property had been on the market for 4 days. Same house, same market, and although the market has changed from a few years ago, the gap between a well-executed listing and a limited service one is wider today than it was then. When the market is slower, buyers are pickier, and homes are sitting longer, so execution matters more, not less. And when it comes to for sale by owners, the data is pretty stark. Sellers that go it alone tend to net tens of thousands less than sellers with representation, and most of them still end up paying the buyer's agent's compensation anyway. So the savings definitely aren't what they expected. With Open Door and similar iBuyer programs, the pitch is speed and certainty. That has value in the right situation, but the offer is structured to reflect what they think your home would sell for without proper representation. There's a reason their margins exist. I go deep on all the actual numbers in the blog article. You can find the link below. But what I want you to take from this video is the bigger picture. So let's segue a little to talk about what's been happening with commissions right now. After the NAR settlement, a lot of sellers were expecting agent commissions to be lower or gone away completely. A common misunderstanding to what the settlement was about to begin with. The settlement wasn't removing agent compensation from the equation. It was just clarifying it and making it negotiable. I typically will prepare my sellers to expect to cover about 2.5% for the buyer's agent, in addition to whatever we have agreed to for my compensation. This can vary offer to offer, especially depending on other concessions being asked for, but that is the market standard right now. When an offer comes in and the buyer is also asking for closing cost credits, a home warranty, termite clearance, or even a rate buy down, we have room to work. Sometimes that means we can bring the buyer's agent down to 2% as part of the overall negotiation, or reduce other concessions to bring all parties together. But basically, the commission is part of the offer negotiations now, not a line item that's already decided before the offer arrives. That flexibility is actually useful for sellers, but only if you have someone who knows how to use it. But here's the thing most sellers don't think about, and the part I want you to hear. Buyers in this market have more leverage than they've had in years. With homes sitting on the market longer, buyers are in a position to ask for more concessions. Whether it's closing costs, rate buy downs, or repairs, buyers aren't afraid to ask for it all, and they're quick to walk away when their demands aren't met. The days of buyers waiving everything just to get their offer accepted are definitely over. So when I'm working with a seller who wants to hold out for the perfect offer, I walk them through the math. If your home sits another 30 to 45 days, that's another house payment you're making, including bills and taxes you're covering, and your future plans that continue to be on hold. And if your home isn't moving, you're likely looking at a price reduction just to stay in the game. Then you're still going to have to negotiate the buyer's requests on top of that. Sometimes you end up netting less waiting for a better offer than if you would have just accepting a solid offer upfront before your listing goes stale. That's a judgment call, and it's different for every seller in every home, but it's the kind of conversation that determines how much money you actually walk away with. And it's one of the most valuable things a good agent does. So the bottom line is, if you're thinking of selling your home in the Inland Empire, you have options. I put together a full breakdown in my blog comparing for sale by owners versus discount brokers versus full service listing agents like myself. With this ever changing real estate market, the days of throwing your listing on the MLS and slapping a sign in the yard are gone. You definitely want to make sure you are getting what you pay for, but what you net at the end of the day is what's most important and what drives the best decision for your home sale. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.